Cities that only millionaires can afford to live.
Hey everyone, it's Alexa. Welcome back to Titanic. You might think that you already know the most expensive places to live in the world. New York and Paris comes to mind. But some of these places might just surprise you. Now, these may be the most expensive cities in the world to live in, but that doesn't mean that they're the best. What would be your perfect city to live? Give it some thought, and my answer coming up later. If you're new here, make sure that you're subscribed and ring the bell so that you never miss our brand new content.
Singapore. Singapore is a city, a province, and an entire country all in one. The sovereign island nation of the Republic of Singapore is an anomaly as the only city island nation in the world. It is certainly not cut off from society, as it is as metropolitan and modern as they come. Singapore is located just off the southern tip of peninsular Malaysia in Southeast Asia and packs a massive population of 5.7 million on its landmass. Being an island, there is limited land available, and Singapore is literally growing more land as it fills in the ocean surrounding it to create more real estate space. This shortage of land has made it one of the most expensive cities in the world, with the average price to rent a 2-bedroom apartment being near $2,000. If you were able to consider entering the housing market, you would be paying on average $16,000 per square meter, completely unobtainable on the average salary of $49,000. New York City, USA. The Big Apple is known for being a pricey slice of land, and partnered with its high income tax is more suited for the millionaire than the minions that are needed to keep the city ticking. Lower income earners must live far from Manhattan itself and face a long daily commute, but for those who are lucky enough to live in New York City, they can expect to pay a rental of nearly $2,500 for a 2-bedroom apartment. If you want to get a little more bang for your buck with regards to space, you can settle for basement living, but you can still expect to pay millions for the chance at some New York City real estate, and even if it is subterra.
Even finding a place to park your car is costly, and parking on the streets isn't always an option, so be sure to budget at least $600 a month just for a long-term space.
An average listed New York City home is $1.5 million, which is 5 times the national average home price. Bern, Switzerland. Bern might not be first in mind when thinking of visiting Switzerland, but it is a beautiful city with plenty to offer in terms of lifestyle. However, this lifestyle will cost you. It is an historic city of only 142,000 people and has been on the UNESCO World Heritage List since 1983. An average 2-bedroom apartment will set you back $1,600 a month, but the average salary is way higher than most at $89,000. You will need that extra income, as the average consumer prices in Bern are 61% higher than the EU average. If you were looking to enter the property market, expect to put down around $7,700 per square meter for your humble abode. Paris, France. The city of love, and while love might make the world go round, it definitely won't pay the rent in the capital of France. Paris has a population of 2.1 million residents, all vying for a place to lay their head at night, but the compact city of only 105 square kilometers doesn't house a lot of options for anyone on a budget. The median house price per square meter is $10,500, so a price only suited for well-heeled people to get a foot in the door of the property market. If you opt to rent out of the average annual salary, you'll be shelling out roughly $1,500 a month for a 2-bedroom apartment. Worldwide Cost of Living Survey shows that Paris is the most expensive city in the European Union. Everything from services and groceries to entertainment costs are way higher. The only saving to be made is on wine. For example, the average bottle of wine in Paris will cost $10.35, where that same bottle of wine would cost $23 in Singapore. However, I'm not really sure the savings on wine are enough to balance out the other cost. Hong Kong, China. Hong Kong is one of the most densely populated places in the world, and there is no doubt real estate is at a premium. There is so little choice in the city, shared by over 7.4 million people, all living, schooling, and working there. Housing is one of the main costs in Hong Kong that push up the price of living to one that is almost unobtainable. In a worldwide cost of living survey, Hong Kong ranked the least affordable for housing for 8 years running. Average monthly rental of a 2-bedroom apartment is $3,700, while the average monthly salary is $3,900, so it doesn't really leave much to spare for actual living expenses. Seoul, South Korea. Seoul is the capital city and largest metropolis in South Korea with a population of over 10 million. It has enjoyed a long history, being founded in 18 BC as one of the 3 kingdoms of Korea, but possibly one of the most notable pop culture achievements it is known for is as the birthplace of K-pop and the Korean wave. Nowadays, Seoul is a major tourist destination and has had 10 million tourists in 2014, making it the 9th most visited city in the world that year. Its popularity is certainly due to what the city offers in terms of culture and sights and not price, as it is one of the most expensive cities in the world. Everyday items like food and clothing are about 50% more than in New York City. Unfortunately, the strength of the local currency and strict tariffs on imports lend to the high price of living in Seoul that locals can't afford to escape. Sydney, Australia. Sydney is located on the east coast of Australia with a vast network of 658 suburbs making up the city and 40 local government areas. It is a massive place with a population of about 5.2 million people.
For the privilege of joining these metropolitan Aussies, you can expect to pay upwards of $2,000 a month just in rent, and only expect to bring home about $4,000 a month.
Few will ever be in the market to purchase a property in Sydney on the average salary, leaving the property market exclusively for the rich. Dubai, United Arab Emirates. Dubai is a global city, the most populous city in the UAE, and the capital city. It is a major transportation link for cargo and passengers and was built largely with oil revenue that accelerated its growth. These days, less than 5% of the Emirates' revenue comes from oil. Dubai has diversified to benefit from international trade, tourism, aviation, real estate, and financial services, all contributing to the thriving economy. Dubai's population is 3.1 million people, made up of a huge population of foreign workers. For these expats, the cost of living works out much higher, with the average 2-bedroom apartment costing about $1,800 in monthly rent, while on average the monthly salary is $3,100. If you've ever considered owning property in the UAE, a median house price is in the range of $760,000. Luanda, Angola. Luanda is one of the oldest colonial cities in Africa, founded in January 1576 by a Portuguese explorer. It is the largest city and the capital of Angola and sits on the coast of the Atlantic Ocean. It is the country's chief seaport and has a population of 2.6 million people. Angola is a country of contrasts, with half of its population surviving on less than $2 a day. A large expat community involved in the oil industry has driven up the prices of rent as their appetite for Western luxuries need to be met. The result is a staggering high cost of rent, much higher than anything we've heard on this list. For a 3-bedroom apartment, you will be down for about $7,200 a month, and an average house to rent will set you back $13,000 every month. Because of the large disparity, the average annual salary bottoms out at $20,000, meaning the average person can barely afford 3 months' rent. If you want to invest in Luanda property, budget about $7,100 per square meter, but make sure you get a great kitchen, as high costs of entertainment and eating out will make you want to stay in more. Zurich, Switzerland. Zurich is a picturesque city on the banks of Lake Zurich. It is a small city with only 409,000 inhabitants and a larger Zurich metropolitan area making up a population of 1.8 million. It is a major transport hub, with air and rail being the biggest and busiest in the country. When you see the average cost of living in Zurich, you'll understand why most people choose to just move through the city and don't linger long enough to have to pay the exorbitant rent. The one advantage of Zurich is that it does seem the average salaries in the city are higher, weighing in around $103,000, but with the increased cost of living, we doubt you'll have much to show for it at the end of the month. Rental on average is $2,300 a month, which isn't as bad as some places, but if you thought Paris was expensive to buy property, a Zurich property is unobtainable at $13,000 per square meter. Zurich certainly makes it onto the podium for most expensive cities. While it fluctuates between second and third place in many studies, it's certainly deserving of a top 3 medal. Tokyo, Japan. Tokyo is Japan's capital and home to 13,750,000 people. It is the world's largest populace, offering an endless choice of culture, shopping, entertainment, and dining with plenty of history and green areas to take in. It has always played in the league of most expensive cities in the world across the board: food, services, and rent. The average salaries are much lower than other big cities, around the $52,000 mark annually, and rent has become quote-unquote more affordable thanks to slower inflation in recent years, making it around $1,700 a month for a two-bedroom apartment.
Those are some really expensive places so far, but like I said, that doesn't always mean they're the best. My favorite place that I ever lived wasn't a city at all. It was a tiny, tiny town in Maine. So what is your perfect place? Let me know in the comments down below.
1. Oslo, Norway. Oslo was founded in 1040 AD and is the capital and most populated city of Norway, with a population of only 545,000 people. It's a lot smaller than the other cities on our list, but what it lacks in population it makes up for in the cost of living, and perhaps these prices are what keep the population low. Not only is rent high at $1,900 for a two-bedroom apartment, but gas prices are also the highest in the world. This high price is uncustomary as Norway is an oil-producing country, but unemployment is low and university and healthcare are free, so perhaps it all balances out on that front. Wages are in large higher than average, with earnings generally around $75,000 a year. The International Monetary Fund rated Norway one of the wealthiest nations in the world in monetary value. Plus, they boast an impressive portfolio of natural resources such as natural gas, forests, hydroelectric power, and minerals. All this leads to them having one of the most stable currencies in the world, so no wonder investing in property in Oslo will set you back $8,600 per square meter, but it is a really solid investment.